US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, who is currently on a two-day visit to India, in a press conference said that there are no such plans to establish NATO in Indo-Pacific. He adds that India and US share the same intention of free and open Indo-Pacific. Earlier, he inspected the Guard of Honor at the Ministry of Defense in New Delhi. Austin also participated in the Shangri-La Summit in Singapore before visiting New Delhi. This is his second visit to India, the last one being in March of 2021. After 51 hours of the deadliest rail accident India has seen in 2 decades, the tracks have resumed function. The accident has claimed close to 300 lives, injuring hundreds others. Authorities worked to clear the mangled wreckage of the 2 passenger trains that derailed Friday night in Balasore. Indian Railway Board recommends Central Bureau of Investigation to take over the probe into the incident. Russia's Pacific Fleet forces have started operational exercises in the waters of the Sea of Japan and the Sea of Okhotsk that will last until 20th of June. Now, this is according to the Russian Defense Ministry. The ministry said that more than 60 warships and support vessels, about 35 naval aviation aircraft, coastal troops and more than 11,000 military personnel are involved in the exercise. Russian Defense Ministry has said that Russian forces have thwarted a major Ukrainian offensive in the Donetsk region and killed hundreds of pro-Kiev troops. In a statement, the ministry said Ukraine had launched the attack on Sunday using 6 mechanized and 2 tank battalions. There has been no immediate comment from Ukraine, and it remains unclear whether the reported attack represented the start of a long-expected Ukrainian counter-offensive to recapture some of the territory taken by Russian forces. Ukrainian officials have spoken of plans to launch a counter-offensive to reclaim territory Russia has occupied since February 24, 2022. But a recent video released by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry shows its military gesturing silence, suggesting that no formal announcement of a possible counter-offensive will be made. Russia's mercenary leader says Ukraine has retaken part of settlement north of Bakhmut. The Wagner group had captured Bakhmut last month after the longest and bloodiest battle of the war and handed its positions there to regular Russian troops. Ukrainian forces, however, have continued to attack areas close to the city. Wagner chief called the takeover by Russian forces a disgrace. A Chinese warship came within 150 yards of a US destroyer in the Taiwan Strait in an unsafe manner, according to the US military officials. US and Canadian navies on Saturday were conducting a joint exercise in Taiwan Strait. It is when that the Chinese ship cut in front of the US guided missile destroyer Chunghun, forcing it to slow down to avoid a collision. China's military rebuked the United States and Canada for deliberately provoking risk by engaging in the joint drills. Hong Kong police detained more than a dozen people, including several prominent pro-democracy figures, attempting to commemorate the 34th anniversary of the Tiananmen crackdown. For years, tens of thousands of Hong Kongers would converge on the city's Victoria Park in memory of the events of the 4th of June 1989 and take part in candlelight vigils. But since Beijing's imposition of the national security law on Hong Kong in 2020 to quell dissent, the annual vigil was banned, and the organizers were charged under the law. A A UN report by World Food Programme warns of the upcoming food crisis in Pakistan, a crisis likely to further exacerbate in the coming months if the economic and political crisis further worsens. Pakistan has to pay $77.5 billion over the next 3 years. The repayment amount is substantial, keeping in view Pakistan's GDP of $350 billion in 2021. Authorities in Senegal have blamed subversive elements for violent protests in the capital. Senegalese police has said that the number of people killed in days of clashes between police and supporters of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko has now risen to 16, with a total of 500 who were arrested. The clashes first broke out on Thursday after the leader was convicted of corrupting youth but acquitted on charges of raping a woman who worked at a massage parlor and making death threats against her. Sonko, who didn't attend his trial in capital Dakar, was sentenced to 2 years in prison.
For a country usually viewed as one of West Africa's
British Prince Harry is expected to make a court appearance to provide London court with evidence in a case against the publisher of the Daily Mail. This will also make the Duke of Sussex the first senior British royal to give evidence in a court in 130 years. He is one of more than 100 other high-profile figures suing Mirror Group newspapers for alleged phone hacking and other unlawful behavior between 1991 and 2011. Nearly 80 Afghani schoolgirls have been hospitalized in cases of suspected poisoning. The cases bring back the grim memories of neighboring Iran, where nearly 13,000 students had fallen sick in these attacks in a similar manner. In the first incident of its kind in Taliban's Afghanistan, officials say that female students from grades 1st to 6th were targeted. The two affected schools are located close to each other and were targeted almost around the same time. A recent decision to ban Iraqi women from smoking shisha or hookah in public in central Iraq's Karbala city. This has sparked controversy in Iraq's male-dominated conservative society. In an earlier ban, women were no longer allowed to ride motorcycles or even get on one in the holy city. The city houses 2 holy shrines for the Shia Muslims. Women affected by the decision suggest that the authorities pay attention to issues that are of more and actual importance. The Taliban has now imposed yet another ban. This time it's on men from shaving their beards in Herat. In its latest diktat, the group restricted barbershops in a western Afghan province from shaving, trimming or styling beards, claiming that their edict aligns with Sharia or Islamic law. The decision has caused outcry from both barbers, customers alike in the country. The order in Herat province was issued by the provincial Taliban government's Vice and Virtue Department during the Taliban's previous rule. The group demanded that men grow beards. "16-year-old Chinese high school student Xu Zhuyuan from Hunan province has successfully climbed to the summit of Mount Komalangma, setting a record of the youngest female athlete in China to reach the top of the world from the South Slope. She continues her father's legacy in doing so, as Xu's father is known as the first person in Hunan to reach the summit. Dozens of people gathered along the banks of Indian river Yamuna and formed a human chain to spread awareness about saving the river from toxic foam. The volunteers cleaned the banks of the river and also performed various rituals to mark the initiative on the eve of World Environment Day. From its source among Himalayan peaks, the river flows 1,376 kilometers through a clutch of northern states to join the river Ganges in the city of Allahabad. Firefighters in the Canadian province of British Columbia performed a planned ignition to contain the wildfire that has burned through an estimated 241,214 hectares in the region. According to the officials, the planned ignition extended over 30 kilometers and burned approximately 10,000 hectares to limit the spread of the original fire further south. As of Sunday, there were 67 active fires in British Columbia, 11 that began in the last 24 hours. Mangroves are drawing tourists to Indonesia as the archipelago tries to replant and conserve carbon-rich coastal areas that have been decimated by human activity. Mangroves in Indonesia have dwindled to about 4.1 million hectares as urban development replaced what is a natural defense against rising sea levels and saltwater intrusion. Indonesia hopes that alongside state efforts, ecotourism involving people exploring, planting and caring for the forests will help them understand their importance as carbon stores and biodiversity hotspots. A Tokyo Art Institute is giving classes in smiling. This phenomena has come to light as more and more Japanese shed COVID masks. A company or Igoiku, or literally smile education, has seen a surge in its customers. Her trademarked Hollywood-style smiling technique has been gaining attraction. Coco the chimpanzee, the oldest mammal at ZSL Whipsnade Zoo, has turned 50. Coco was born in Dudley Zoo before moving to London Zoo when she was 9 years old. She was then moved at 33 to Whipsnade, which is also UK's largest zoo. The zoo says that the chimp has outlived the average chimp by more than a decade, yet Coco seems to be in good health and has the energy of a youngster. Thousands flocked to the pop culture extravaganza Comic-Con fair in Buenos Aires during the 3-day festival. Cosplayers and fans of all ages participated, and many attendees wore handmade, intricate costumes of characters from popular manga, anime, comics and video games. The fair also had a big presence from international entertainment companies such as Netflix and Paramount, as well as comic, manga and toys booths.